She already told you she's interested. You just weren't listening. Not because you're careless, not because you don't pay attention, but because you were looking for the wrong thing entirely. You were waiting for her to say it out loud. Waiting for the clear, obvious, unmistakable green light. The direct words, the confession. The moment where she removes all doubt and makes everything easy for you. But that moment never came, and you took that as your answer. Here's the problem. That wasn't your answer. That was your test. And you didn't even know you were being tested. This is what 90% of men get wrong. They think a woman's silence means she's not interested. They think her pulling back means she's done. They think mixed signals mean she doesn't care, but none of that is true. Women don't communicate attraction the way men do, not even close. And until you understand that difference, you'll keep misreading every situation. You'll keep walking away from women who wanted you to stay. And you'll keep chasing the ones who already made up their mind to leave. A man shows interest by being direct. He pursues. He tells you how he feels. He makes it obvious. That's how most men are wired, and that's what they expect in return. But a woman shows interest differently. She doesn't hand it to you. She opens a door, just barely, and watches. She watches to see if you notice. She watches to see how you respond. She watches to see if you're perceptive enough, grounded enough, secure enough to walk through it without needing her to hold your hand. And if you miss it, she won't point it out. She'll close that door quietly and you'll never even know it was open. Not because she's cruel, not because she enjoys playing games, but because your ability to notice is part of what she's evaluating. Your awareness tells her more about you than anything you could ever say. That's a hard truth, I know, but don't leave yet, because what comes next is going to change the way you see every interaction you've had with a woman, every late-night text you overanalyzed, every silence that sent you spiraling, every time you thought she lost interest when really she was watching to see what you'd do next. Here's why most men fail at this. They believe attraction is logical. They think if she likes them, everything will be consistent. She'll text back quickly. She'll say yes to every plan. She'll never leave them guessing. Everything will just make sense. But attraction has never been logical. It's emotional, and emotions don't follow straight lines. They ebb, they flow, they pull back to test what's real. A woman's emotional world moves in waves, and when a man doesn't understand that rhythm, he panics. He starts texting more. He starts asking what's wrong. He starts over-explaining himself, trying to fix something that was never broken. He increases his effort, thinking that more is always the answer, and every single time, it pushes her further away. Not because she doesn't care, but because his reaction just told her something she can't ignore. It told her that his emotional center depends on her, that his peace disappears the moment she goes quiet, that without her constant validation, he starts to come undone, and that, more than anything, is what kills attraction. Because what a woman is really looking for isn't effort. It isn't words. It isn't grand romantic gestures or constant reassurance. What she's looking for is steadiness. She needs to feel that you have a foundation that doesn't shake when things get uncertain. She needs to know that your identity isn't built on her attention. She needs to see that when she steps back, you don't collapse. You just stand there, grounded, present, unmoved, not cold, not indifferent, just genuinely stable. That's the man she can't stop thinking about. And the cruel irony is this: the men who understand this rarely have to chase anyone. They create a pull simply by being centered, while the men who don't understand it exhaust themselves trying harder, giving more, doing everything they think is right, and still losing her. If that's been you, if you've been the man who gave everything and still felt like it wasn't enough, then listen carefully, because what comes next will show you exactly what you've been missing all along. It was never about doing more. It was about seeing more, seeing the quiet shifts, the invisible signals, the things she was showing you that you didn't have the framework to understand. Until now. Stay with me. We're just getting started. To understand what a woman is silently telling you, you first need to understand how attraction actually works for her, because it's nothing like how it works for you. For most men, attraction is visual and immediate. You see her. Something strikes you. You know within seconds whether you're interested. It's fast. It's clear. It's simple. For a woman, attraction is layered. It builds slowly. It shifts and deepens over time. Or it fades and disappears. And the things that deepen it are almost never the things men assume. It's not about your looks alone. It's not about money or status. It's not about saying the perfect thing at the perfect moment. Those things might open a door initially, but they don't keep her standing in it. What keeps a woman emotionally invested in a man comes down to two forces: safety and challenge. And most men only understand one of them. Safety means she feels emotionally stable in your presence. She feels like she can lower her guard without being judged or punished for it. She senses that your mood isn't a roller coaster she has to manage. She feels that you are consistent, not performing, not pretending, but genuinely grounded in who you are at your core. Challenge doesn't mean playing hard to get. It doesn't mean being cold or emotionally unavailable. Challenge means she can't fully predict you. It means you have a depth she hasn't figured out yet. It means your world doesn't revolve entirely around her, and she finds that quietly, magnetically compelling. When both of these exist together, safety and challenge, something shifts inside her. She begins to invest emotionally, and when a woman starts investing emotionally, her behavior changes in ways that are subtle but unmistakable, if you know what you're actually looking at. These are the silent signals, the ones most men walk right past without ever recognizing. The first one is mirroring. When a woman is becoming emotionally drawn to you, she starts reflecting your energy back to you without consciously deciding to. She'll match your speaking pace. She'll adopt your phrases and expressions. She'll laugh at the same rhythm you do. If you slow down, she slows down with you. If you get quiet, she gets comfortable sitting in that quiet too. This isn't something she plans. It's involuntary. It's her nervous system syncing with yours because she feels safe enough to let it happen naturally. Most men never notice this because they're too busy rehearsing what to say next. But if you stop performing and start paying attention, you'll see it clearly. She begins to mirror you, and that mirror is telling you something important. It's telling you she's letting you in. The second signal is the guard dropping. Every woman carries a layer of emotional protection in social situations. She has to. It's how she navigates a world that constantly demands her energy and attention. She's polite to most people, she's friendly and warm on the surface. She laughs at jokes that aren't funny. She gives just enough warmth to keep things smooth without letting anyone get too close. But when she starts dropping that guard around you specifically, that's something entirely different. That's not politeness. That's not social grace, that's trust. You'll notice it in small but meaningful ways. She'll tell you something she doesn't share with most people. She'll let you see her when she's tired, unfiltered, not at her best. She won't feel the need to perform for you the way she performs for the rest of the world. She'll be messier around you, more honest, less carefully calculated in what she says and does. And most men, when they see this version of her, don't recognize it for the gift that it is. Some even get uncomfortable because the unfiltered version doesn't match the polished image they were initially attracted to. But that unpolished, unguarded version is the real signal. She's stopped performing. She's trusting you with the version of herself she protects from everyone else. And for a woman, trust is the foundation everything real is built on. The third signal is something most men have never even thought about. She starts protecting your image. When a woman is emotionally invested in you, she becomes quietly protective of how other people see you. She won't allow people to speak badly about you when she's in the room. She'll defend you in conversations you'll never hear about. She'll frame you positively to her closest friends, not because you asked her to, but because your image has become connected to her own emotional identity. This is one of the deepest signals of real investment. When a woman protects your reputation, she's not just being nice or loyal in the moment. She's telling the world, and telling herself, that you matter to her, that she's chosen you on some level she may not even fully understand yet, that your value reflects her own judgment and she's willing to stand behind it publicly. You'll rarely witness this one directly, but if you ever hear from a friend or someone in her circle that she defended you or spoke highly of you when you weren't there, pay close attention. That's not casual. That's not small talk. That's emotional investment running deep beneath the surface where most men never think to look. And there are more signals still, ones that cut even deeper than these. The fourth signal is one that will surprise you. She starts seeking your presence, not your attention. There's a critical difference between these two things that most men never think about. Attention is surface level, it's reactive. It's about being seen, being noticed, being validated in a moment that passes quickly. Presence is something much deeper than that. When a woman seeks your presence, she doesn't need you to entertain her. She doesn't need constant conversation or elaborate plans. She doesn't need you to perform or impress or fill every silence with something clever. She just wants to be near you. She wants to exist in the same space, breathing the same air, sharing the same stillness. She'll sit beside you and feel completely at ease without a single word being exchanged. She'll find small, quiet reasons to be wherever you are, without asking for anything once she gets there. This is one of the most overlooked signals because it doesn't look like interest to most men. It looks like nothing is happening. She's just there, quiet, close, not demanding a thing. But that is the signal. Her choosing your presence over everything else, competing for her time and energy, is her telling you something she may never put into words. Don't mistake her quietness for indifference. That quiet closeness is her answer. The fifth signal is that she respects your silence. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it with noise, with nervous laughter, with questions that don't really matter. They treat quiet moments as awkwardness, as something broken that needs to be fixed immediately. But when a woman is genuinely drawn to you, she doesn't rush to fill your quiet moments. She lets them breathe. She sits in the stillness beside you and doesn't feel any pressure to force conversation. She won't interpret your silence as rejection or disinterest. She understands instinctively that sometimes you simply don't need to speak, and she feels safe enough in what you share to let that be exactly what it is. This is rare, and it's deeply meaningful, because when a woman can sit in silence beside you and still feel fully connected, that's a level of emotional comfort most relationships never come close to reaching. If she gives you that kind of space willingly, she's offering you something far more valuable than words could ever be. The sixth signal is emotional alignment. You'll notice it slowly at first. She starts genuinely caring about the things you care about, not performing interest to keep you happy, actually caring. Your stress starts to weigh on her too. Your victories start to feel like something she personally celebrates. She begins to emotionally orbit your world, not because she's lost herself in you, but because she's chosen to weave parts of your life into the fabric of her own. This is completely different from people-pleasing. A people-pleaser mirrors whatever she thinks you want to hear. A woman who is emotionally aligned with you will challenge you honestly when you're wrong and tell you what you need to hear, even when it's uncomfortable. But her foundation is always on your side. She's not blindly agreeing with every word you say. She's aligned with who you are at your core. That distinction matters far more than most men will ever realize. The seventh signal is quiet nurturing. When a woman begins to take care of you in small, almost invisible ways, she's revealing one of the deepest forms of emotional investment there is. She'll remember something you mentioned casually weeks ago and act on it without being asked. She'll notice when your energy drops before you even acknowledge it yourself. She'll do thoughtful, quiet things to make your life a little easier, and she won't ask for credit or expect recognition in return. This isn't duty. This isn't obligation. This isn't someone going through the motions. This is a woman whose emotional investment has grown so deep that caring for you feels like instinct. She doesn't plan it or think about it consciously. She just does it. Because at that point, your well-being has become inseparable from her own. Now, here's where I need to speak to you directly. Because if you've been truly listening, there's a chance you recognize some of these signals. Not from where you are now, but from your past. There's a chance you're sitting here in this moment realizing that someone once showed you every single one of these things, and you missed it. Or maybe even worse. You saw pieces of it, but you didn't understand what any of it meant, and you let it slip through your hands. If that's you right now, I need you to hear something important. You weren't stupid, you weren't weak, you weren't fundamentally broken. You simply didn't have the awareness that no one ever taught you to develop. No one sat you down and explained what she was quietly trying to show you. You were doing the best you possibly could with what you understood at the time. And that's not failure. That's being deeply, imperfectly human. And if you were the man who overgave, who poured everything he had into someone and still watched it all fall apart, that doesn't make you foolish. The instinct to give more when you feel someone slipping away is one of the most natural human responses in existence. It just doesn't work the way you think it does. Not because your heart was in the wrong place, but because the dynamic underneath was broken. Giving more when she pulls back doesn't bring her closer. It signals that your emotional stability depends entirely on what she does next. And that kind of dependency is the one thing that makes a woman feel uneasy at her core. She needs to know that you can hold yourself steady even when everything between you feels uncertain. You didn't lose her because you cared too much. You lost her because caring turned into chasing. And chasing became pressure. And pressure became the exact force that pushed her away. That wasn't a character flaw. That was a pattern you couldn't see, let alone break. But now you see it, and seeing it changes everything. Now let's talk about what you do with all of this. Because understanding these signals means nothing if you still respond to them the wrong way. And the wrong way, the way most men instinctively default to without even thinking, is chasing. The moment a man recognizes that a woman might genuinely be interested in him, something inside him shifts. He gets excited. He leans forward. He starts texting more frequently, planning more eagerly, giving more of himself more quickly. He believes the window is finally open, and he has to rush through it before it closes again. But that urgency, that desperate need to lock everything down before it slips away, is the very thing that makes it slip away. Here's what you need to understand at a level deeper than logic can reach. Chasing kills attraction. Not because women enjoy being ignored, not because they like watching men struggle and suffer, but because chasing communicates something you never intended to say. It tells her that you see her as above you, that you're terrified of losing something you haven't even fully earned yet, that your emotional stability is now sitting entirely in her hands, and you placed it there willingly, without her ever asking you to. The moment she senses that shift, something changes inside her too. Not toward you, away from you. Not because she's heartless or cold, but because a woman cannot sustain deep attraction for a man she feels emotionally responsible for. She might care about him. She might feel genuine sympathy for his situation, but she cannot truly want him. Not in the way that builds something real and lasting. So what do you do instead? You stay still. Not cold, not distant. Not playing some calculated game where you pretend you don't care while checking your phone every 3 minutes hoping she responded. That's just chasing wearing a disguise. Real stillness isn't a tactic you deploy. It's a state of being that comes from somewhere so deep inside you that it cannot be faked. It comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to abandon that foundation for anyone's approval, no matter how badly you want them close. When you stop chasing and start fully occupying your own space, something powerful and unexpected happens. You create a vacuum, a space she has to move toward willingly if she wants to be close to you. And that movement, her choosing to step closer on her own, is what genuine attraction actually looks like in practice. Not you pulling her in with effort and words. Her walking toward you freely because your steadiness makes her feel safe and your quiet depth makes her endlessly curious. Stillness is not silence used as punishment. It's silence as self-respect. It's the quiet, unhurried confidence of a man who understands that his value is not determined by whether she responds tonight, tomorrow, or ever. This is exactly where most men struggle the hardest, because staying still when you want someone goes against every instinct screaming inside you. Every fiber of your being wants to do something. Send the text, make the call, find the perfect words that will fix everything in one conversation, but the men who learn to sit inside that discomfort, who feel the urge rising and consciously choose not to act on it, those are the men women simply cannot forget, because they are genuinely rare. In a world overflowing with men who react impulsively, who chase desperately, who fall apart at the first sign of silence, the man who simply remains where he stands is something most women have almost never experienced. And now we arrive at the most important shift of all. Stop trying to win her. I know that sounds contradictory after everything we've discussed. You came here wanting to understand her signals, wanting to decode what her behavior really means, wanting to discover the right move that would finally change everything in your favor. But the right move was never about her. It was always about you. The man who attracts effortlessly isn't obsessing over any one woman. He's quietly and deliberately building himself into someone genuinely worth choosing. He's not studying her every action like a puzzle that needs solving. He's investing in his own clarity, his own purpose, his own inner peace. And that energy radiates outward naturally in ways he never has to manage or perform. When you shift your focus from winning her approval to becoming fully and unapologetically yourself, without shrinking, without performing, without betraying who you are for anyone, you stop needing the signals altogether, because your sense of worth is no longer tied to whether she's interested or not. Your value becomes something you carry within you regardless of what anyone else does or doesn't do. That doesn't mean you stop caring about people, it means you stop needing them to complete you. And that distance between caring deeply and needing desperately is the entire distance between a man who naturally attracts and a man who endlessly chases. Selective attention, calm confidence, emotional independence. These aren't techniques you memorize and rehearse. They're qualities that emerge on their own when a man decides that his own life is the most important thing he will ever build. She might come closer, she might walk away. But either way, you remain whole, grounded, present, completely unshaken by the outcome. And here's the question I want to leave you with tonight. Not something to answer out loud right now. Not something to rush past on your way to the next video. Something to sit with quietly when the screen goes dark and it's just you and your own thoughts. Are you still trying to prove yourself to someone who's already watching? Or are you finally ready to stand still for a while and let your life speak for itself? That's the real shift. That's where everything changes. Not somewhere in the distant future. Right here. Right now. In this moment of awareness. Not when she finally chooses you, but when you choose yourself, fully and completely, and mean it.